You're all welcome to the day 2 of our one question geography per day activity. Now, this question is from May-June 2021, and we're going to be looking at the question that have to do with climate and vegetation. Now, this is the first question here, which is, there's a study figure 4.1, which is a cross section showing the circulation of the atmosphere in tropical areas. Now, so the first thing you need to take note here is you have the equator, which is a low pressure belt, and because it's a low pressure belt, you find out that you have rising air, which condenses and it will lead to high amount of rainfall within the equator. Then you have the 23.5 degrees north and south of the equator. You have the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, and within those areas, those are high pressure belt, and you have sinking air, thereby leading to reduction in the amount of rainfall within those areas. Now, the first question here is that on figure 4.1, we should mark an X to show the position of an area of hot desert. Now, areas with hot desert are areas that have sinking air. Now, because there's sinking air there, then there is low rainfall, and also there is high temperature within those areas. So, any of within this Tropic of Capricorn and Tropic of Cancer, you just need to mark X within those areas, that you get the 1 mark. Now, the second question here is to explain why temperature are high in areas of equatorial and hot desert climate. Now, I decided to include this diagram here to explain this concept. Now, first, the equatorial and hot desert climate areas are low latitudes. They are within low latitudes. That means they are between 0 degrees to 23.5 degrees north and south of the equator. Now, if you look at this diagram here, you find out that the sun rays is usually near the equator, so they are nearer to the low latitudes and they are directly overhead, so leading to high insolation. Now, so the answer is this simple. So you find out that high equatorial and hot desert climate are low latitude areas, so they are close to the equator, making the sun to be directly overhead, and so the sun will usually concentrate in a small area, thereby leading to high insolation, which causes high temperature within those places. That's it. Then we have another question here. They said many deserts are inland. Many are inland. Explain why this results in low amount of rainfall. However, take note, they say many are inland. There are some deserts that are found close to ocean bodies, but those areas are areas that have high amount of cold current. But in this case, it is inland, and we should explain why there is low amount of rainfall. Now, when it is inland, you find out that it is either a leeward side of a mountain. Within this leeward side, we have sinking air here, so obviously there will be less amount of rainfall and there can be desert climate. Another thing is inland, so therefore if it's inland, the amount of the distance that wind will travel, the wind will travel over land, which is dry, thereby there will be no moisture, so it will not lead to any form of rain. Now, if it is inland also, there might be no water within that area, so no form of evaporation or transpiration to take place that will lead to cloud formation and rainfall at the tail end. So see, this is what the syllabus said. There is no water source for evaporation at inland, thereby prevailing wind blow over large land area, therefore the wind is dry, which when it reaches the desert. Also, it can be an area of rain shadow, uh, which is type of relief rainfall. So you can learn more about rain shadow. Then the next question here is, we should describe the processes which result in large amounts of rainfall in areas of equatorial climate. Now, I have mentioned earlier that equatorial climate, within those areas, you have high insolation because the sun rays concentrate on a small area. So when that happens, once there is high insolation from the sun within the equatorial climate, Obviously, within that area, you find out that there will be more moisture and evaporation of water. And once the water evaporate, it will rise because that area is a low pressure belt, so air will definitely rise. Now, once it rises into the atmosphere, it will now cool. Look at this. That whole diagram is explaining it. Now, water vapor from the ground and trees through evapotranspiration rises. So the warm air rises. As it rises, it cools down and condenses to form cloud. The cloud will now grow into larger size and it will now fall down as rain. It's simple as that. Format. So the sun heats up the ground, leading to evapotranspiration, which is evaporation and transpiration from both plant and from large water bodies. Now, the warm air rises, it then cool, condense to form cloud, which falls as rain. That's it. That's why equatorial regions have high amount of rainfall. Now, we have this question here. They said short plant and grasses. So we have an insert, sorry, and I've said it earlier. Once you're given an insert, try to label as many features as you can see. Here I can see bare soil and rock that is quite bare soil. Here we have short plants and grasses. The area is scanty grasses, is scattered. It's not there's little grasses within this place. Then you have small rock particles at the floor here. Okay, so the question is study figure 4.1 insert, which is a photograph which was taken in an area of hot desert. Okay, so give 3 pieces of evidence to support that figure 4.1 was taken in an area of hot desert. First, the vegetation. We have scanty vegetation within those areas and presence of bare soil, short grasses and short plant and grasses. I think, okay, sparse vegetation, no trees, large amount of bare soil, plants with thin leaves. So no broad leaves, which is one of the characteristics of plants within a desert region. They have thin leaves. We have grasses and low-level plants, which are like the short plant I mentioned earlier. We have shrubs. Then no water. There is no single water source within this diagram. So that explains why it is a hot desert climate. Now, this question have to do with adaptation of animals within a desert environment. So I'll just run through it quickly. They say, explain how wildlife, which are animals, are able to survive in a hot desert environment. You can actually also read that of plant much more later. Now, first, can survive for a long time without water. Most plants there, yeah, most animals there, yes. Now, these animals eat plants that have succulent stem, and so they definitely get water from it. The animals have large feet to stop sinking into sand. They have large ears. You can see this diagram here. With many blood vessels in the large ears, which help to give out or give off excess heat. Now they stay in burrows or bury themselves in the sand during the hot days, and they are nocturnals. That means they are only active at night when the temperature is quite low. Now, their kidney help to concentrate their urine, so they excrete less water. And some have a thick outer covering, which reduces moisture loss. And some excrete urine on their legs, which cool them by evaporating or by evaporation. So when the urine evaporates from their legs, it helps to cool their body, and they will now circulate the cooled blood back through the whole body. So these are ways in which they help in adaptation in a hot desert climate. Then lastly, which is the case study, they said for a name area of tropical rainforest you have studied, describe the impact of deforestation on the local natural environment. So take note, sometimes you tend to miss the core content here. Now, what the question is asking is for the natural environment. So everything that have to do with social, economic, you should try as much as you can to avoid it, because you will just write a whole lot, but there will be no mark attached to it. So first, see it as a question. Then you relate the question to an area. We have described the impact of deforestation on the local natural environment. That's the question. So how you relate it to an area and include place-specific reference and um, informations that actually represent that area you choose, then you get your 7 marks. And make sure you always give 3 well-developed points. In fact, give 4 so that no matter what, you should be able to hit the mark. Now, here I use the Amazon rainforest. So this statement here, we give you your full mark. Now, deforestation in the Amazon has several environmental impacts, leading to loss of biodiversity. That's one. As habitats are destroyed and species will habitat and species are being destroyed, so many of which are found nowhere else, normally face extinction. That will give me 2 marks: extinction and loss of biodiversity. Now, place specific reference, the world or statement relating to that area. The World Wildlife Fund estimate that deforestation could result in an extinction of up to 137 species daily. That is like more further development of that point. Additionally, the Amazon rainforest is a vital carbon sink. So it absorbs significant amount of carbon dioxide, but deforestation releases this carbon store, contributing to climate change. That's another 2 marks. Normally, that's another point. Now, approximately 1.5 billion metric tons of carbon dioxide are emitted annually due to deforestation in the region. Now, the environmental damage also disrupts the global water cycle. That's another point, leading to reduced rainfall and an increased risk of drought, which can have serious effect on agriculture and make the forest more vulnerable to fire. Once you're able to do this, you get your full mark. So have a nice time. Thank you. See you tomorrow for day 3.